The camera zooms into a luxurious office where two sisters enter for a high-stakes interview. The black-skinned, humble sister walks with poise, carrying her simple bag, while her fair-skinned, glamorous sister struts confidently in designer attire. A young millionaire executive, impeccably dressed, observes silently from his desk. Suddenly, a female employee trips and falls, spilling water. Without hesitation, the black-skinned sister rushes, offering her own water bottle to help. Meanwhile, the white-skinned sister barely glances up, ignoring the scene. The executive watches closely, a smile slowly forming on his face. In that instant, the room's energy shifts. Kindness outweighs showmanship. Little do the sisters know, this single act will change everything in ways neither could imagine. The morning sun poured through the glass walls of the luxury office, reflecting off the polished floors and designer furniture. The building hummed with quiet efficiency, a place where only the most capable and confident dare to step in. Today was not just any day. It was a day two sisters would walk in, carrying not only their resumes, but the weight of their personalities and choices. The first sister, Amara, with her warm black complexion, stepped lightly in her modest, simple dress. Every step exuded humility and calm confidence, as though she knew that her value came from within, not from the clothes she wore or the attention she drew. Her eyes, bright and sincere, scanned the room with awareness and curiosity, noticing every small detail. The gentle hum of the air conditioning, the polished edge of the mahogany desk, the subtle scent of fresh flowers in a corner. Behind her walked her twin sister, Bianca, whose fair, shiny skin glowed under the office lights, her designer outfit perfectly tailored to highlight her elegance. Every gesture was precise, rehearsed, and commanding. Her steps resonated with self-assurance, a silent announcement that she expected admiration and respect. Unlike Amara, her eyes scanned the room with calculation, evaluating others, noting who might notice her presence, and subtly asserting her dominance. The receptionist directed them toward the waiting area. The chairs, sleek and minimalist, were arranged in a semicircle, each positioned for maximum visibility to the executive who would decide their fate. The sisters sat down, Amara with grace, hands neatly folded on her lap, and Bianca with an effortless tilt of her head, crossing her legs and leaning back to draw attention to herself. Minutes passed, and then a sudden commotion broke the calm. A middle-aged woman, an office worker carrying a stack of papers, tripped near the water cooler. She stumbled, falling to the ground, spilling a glass of water. Papers flew, and the room froze for a heartbeat. Panic flickered in the air. Without a second thought, Amara leaped from her chair. Her small hand grabbed her water bottle, offering it to the fallen woman with a reassuring smile. "Here, take this. You'll be fine," she said softly, kneeling to help gather the scattered papers. Her actions were instinctive, pure, a manifestation of empathy and kindness that required no recognition. Bianca, in contrast, remained seated. She watched the scene unfold with disinterest, her expression almost bored, as though the event had nothing to do with her. She straightened her posture, checked her reflection subtly in the polished surface of the desk, and then returned her gaze toward the executive's office, silently assuming that mere presence and beauty would carry her through the test. Inside the office, the young millionaire executive observed everything. From his sleek leather chair behind the desk, he noticed the subtle differences, the humility and proactive kindness in Amara versus the detached confidence in Bianca. A faint smile tugged at his lips. In that moment, he didn't just see candidates, he saw a character. The receptionist quietly invited them into the executive's office. The room smelled faintly of fresh leather and coffee, a blend of power and calm. The executive stood as they entered, his tailored suit immaculate, a visual testament to his success and attention to detail. He motioned for them to sit in the chairs opposite his desk. Amara chose her seat with gentle awareness, placing her bag carefully beside her. She made eye contact with the executive, her smile warm but not rehearsed. Bianca, on the other hand, selected her chair with strategic flair, crossing her legs and adjusting her hair so that it caught the light perfectly. She leaned slightly forward, projecting both confidence and expectation, as if the very act of sitting could influence the decision in her favor. The interview began. Questions were asked, complex, technical, and behavioral. But it wasn't just knowledge that the executive was testing. It was the subtle cues, the small gestures, the human qualities that no resume could ever convey. Amara answered each question thoughtfully, pausing to consider her words, ensuring honesty and clarity guided her responses. Bianca responded quickly, her words polished and persuasive, yet somehow hollow, lacking the authentic warmth that made Amara's answers resonate. Halfway through the session, a minor task was introduced, a scenario to observe how candidates handled unexpected stress. The executive noted reactions, not just the solution proposed. Amara's calm demeanor and empathetic approach contrasted sharply with Bianca's rigid, self-focused performance. Each movement Amara made demonstrated consideration for others, a rare quality that caught the executive's attention more than any technical skill could. By the end of the first chapter of the interview, the seeds of judgment were planted. The executive leaned back slightly, a subtle signal that the true evaluation was beyond scores and resumes. It was about heart, integrity, and the invisible energy that defined each candidate. Even as they left the room for a short break, the contrast remained stark. Amara's quiet smile lingered in the air like a gentle promise, a sign of humility that naturally drew respect. Bianca's polished posture and glamour, while impressive, seemed to lack substance, leaving a sense of incompleteness that no beauty could fill. Outside the office, in the hallway, the twins exchanged brief glances. Bianca's was sharp, slightly disdainful, as though silently questioning how Amara's simplicity could even compete. Amara's was calm, unassuming, filled with quiet confidence, not even aware that a single act of kindness had already begun to tip the scales. The stage was now set. The first test of character had passed, but the real revelation, one that would challenge perceptions, reward integrity, and leave lasting impressions, was yet to come. The office buzzed softly as the twins returned to the waiting area after their first round of interviews. The luxurious environment, once just a backdrop, now seemed charged with invisible energy, reflecting the subtle power of observation and the quiet weight of character. Every polished surface, every glass panel, mirrored not just the wealth of the office, but the invisible measure of human worth, the kind of worth that couldn't be printed on a resume. Amara sat down calmly, smoothing her simple dress, her mind still aware of the fallen woman earlier. She didn't dwell on it. Kindness was instinctive, not a performance, but she noticed a faint nod of appreciation the office staff gave her. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet her heart felt light. Her calm presence seemed to radiate, attracting unspoken respect, even from strangers who barely knew her. Bianca, in contrast, fluffed a designer outfit and adjusted her shiny hair, a small smirk playing on her lips. She leaned back confidently, crossing her legs, her eyes flicking occasionally toward Amara, as if measuring how much attention her sister's humility might steal from her own well-polished image. She felt in control, convinced that charm and appearance were enough to sway anyone, especially a young, wealthy executive. Minutes later, the executive entered, and the energy in the room shifted instantly. The staff member stepped back, giving him space. He looked at both sisters carefully, his gaze pausing on Amara just a fraction longer than Bianca. A faint, satisfied smile appeared, the kind that only comes from witnessing a rare quality, selfless integrity. "Thank you for your patience," he began, his tone calm yet commanding. "I've observed how each of you handled the unexpected situations today. Some qualities are easier to teach than others. Some, however, cannot be taught at all." His eyes lingered on Amara, and those qualities reveal more about a person than a perfect resume ever could. Amara felt a flicker of surprise, but maintained her composure. She hadn't expected recognition for her small act, yet her heart remained humble, unaffected by anticipation. Bianca, on the other hand, straightened instantly, her confidence bordering on expectation, waiting for praise she felt she deserved. The executive continued, "Today, you were tested not just on skills, but on character, empathy, and the way you respond when no one is watching. Actions like these reveal true leadership potential." He nodded subtly toward the spot where the fallen worker had been helped. "Your act of kindness did not go unnoticed, Amara. It shows initiative, empathy, and integrity, qualities I value more than any superficial display. Amara's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't done it for recognition, yet her simple gesture had made a lasting impression. The reality of the situation sank in. Genuine goodness carries weight far beyond appearances. Bianca's expression tightened. She felt the shift in energy, the invisible favor that her sister's actions had earned. The realization stung, but she masked it with a composed smile. Inside, she questioned how something so simple could outweigh the elegance, poise, and attention she had painstakingly cultivated. The executive rose and walked to a side table, retrieving a sleek envelope embossed with the company's emblem. He handed it to Amara. "This is an opportunity we don't offer lightly. Consider it recognition, not only of your skills, but also of your heart and character. True leadership begins with humility and empathy, qualities you've demonstrated in abundance today." Amara accepted the envelope with quiet gratitude, her hand steady, her smile genuine. She felt a surge of emotion, not pride, but fulfillment. This reward, she realized, was proof that goodness is tangible power, that integrity opens doors that wealth, beauty, and charm alone cannot. Bianca's eyes widened subtly as she watched the exchange. A complex mixture of envy, disbelief, and admiration crossed her face. She realized, perhaps for the first time, that her sister's value wasn't measured by appearance or confidence alone. There existed a deeper, unquantifiable force that could eclipse even the most dazzling exterior, something she had overlooked entirely. The executive turned toward both sisters. "I hope today taught you that in any environment, in life or in business, the smallest act of selflessness can define a person's true potential." Amara's actions demonstrated that leadership is not only about strategy or presentation. It's about character, empathy, and the courage to act without expectation of reward. Amara's eyes met her sister's briefly. In that moment, there was no bitterness, only a silent invitation, a lesson unspoken but deeply felt. Bianca understood that today's outcome was not a failure of skill, but a revelation. The human heart holds power beyond the reach of appearances, attitude, or bravado. As the twins exited the office, Amara's envelope securely in hand. The executive watched from his window. The young millionaire's satisfaction was evident, not in the financial success that surrounded him, but in the rare, unassuming act that revealed authentic human greatness. He knew that Amara's journey would bring more than success. It would inspire those around her, leaving a mark far more enduring than wealth or aesthetics ever could. Outside, the city's hum continued, oblivious of quiet drama that had unfolded within those walls. But for Amara, the day marked a turning point. She had acted from her heart, without pretense, and in return, life had responded in kind. Bianca, though initially unsettled, walked beside her sister with newfound awareness. Perhaps this was the beginning of her own understanding, that true power and influence are born not from attention or glamour, but from kindness, empathy, and integrity. The office doors closed behind them, leaving a lingering lesson in the air. In a world obsessed with appearances and status, it is the silent, selfless acts of the heart that ultimately define a person's legacy. In life, the difference between fleeting success and lasting impact often lies not in appearances, wealth, or charm, but in the choices we make from the heart. The story of Amara and Bianca demonstrates this profound truth. Both sisters enter the same luxurious office with identical opportunities, yet their actions define their outcomes. Amara, the humble and kind-hearted sister, acted instinctively to help someone in need, without expecting recognition or reward. Bianca, though confident and glamorous, failed to act when it mattered, focusing instead on appearances and her own image. This contrast teaches us that true value is measured by our character, not our looks or status. In professional settings, social situations, and even personal relationships, it's easy to assume that success comes from projecting confidence, following trends, or seeking attention. However, the human mind subconsciously recognizes integrity and selflessness. Acts of empathy, even small ones, resonate deeply with people, creating trust, respect, and influence that cannot be bought or fabricated. Amara's reward, the recognition from the executive, was not simply for performing her duties or for her qualifications. It was for demonstrating selflessness, humility, and genuine concern for others. This shows a universal principle. When we lead with our hearts, When our actions prioritize kindness over self-interest, opportunities align naturally with our integrity. Success achieved this way is sustainable and meaningful because it is rooted in authentic human values rather than superficial appearances. Conversely, Bianca's experience reflects a cautionary lesson. Talent, confidence, and external beauty may attract attention initially, but without empathy and authenticity, they fail to create lasting impact. Human psychology is wired to notice not just competence, but the subtle emotional signals that convey kindness, reliability, and moral strength. Ignoring these signals or assuming charm alone is enough can leave one overlooked, regardless of how polished or impressive they seem. Another key takeaway from this story is the power of invisible actions. Many of our most meaningful deeds are not seen by the world at large, yet they carry immense weight. Amara did not act for recognition. Her motivation was purely altruistic. Yet, those same actions change her life. This reinforces a critical life lesson. Doing good sincerely, even when unnoticed, builds character, trust, and opportunities that cannot be replicated through effort alone. Finally, the story reminds us that life is often a reflection of our mindset and choices. By valuing empathy, integrity, and humility, we not only uplift others, but also position ourselves for growth and success that is both rewarding and enduring. True influence and leadership are earned through genuine care and ethical action, not through pretense or superficial appeal. In essence, this narrative teaches a timeless principle. Kindness, empathy, and integrity are far more powerful than looks, attitude, or status. When we choose to act from the heart, life rewards us in ways we cannot always anticipate. The sister story is not just about an interview. It is a mirror for every viewer, reminding us that the path to meaningful success is paved by the values we embody, the kindness we show, and the sincerity we carry in every action.